music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Well, hello! Welcome to another episode of Bat Minute Returns, the podcast where we free ourselves from the bindings of Tim Burton's 1992 Batman Returns movie 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And I am the other host, John Parker. Hopefully high in entertainment, but not so high in fibre.
And once again, for the final time this week, we are joined by friend of the show, Bat Minute PA. Although, I've been looking at the various forums and stuff, Lal. I think we call you into the office after this for some talk about some talk about your work here, frankly. But didn't want to do it on air, but I just did. Sorry, but
don't be jealous of my boogie, Niall.
But yeah, so Lal Gall. Sorry, I completely flummoxed your intro there.
Hello.
And today we're here to talk about minute 78 of Batman Returns, which opens with Batman still mid-freeing the Ice Princess, and ends 1 minute later with Batman ascending a ladder. So,
And a very inconspicuous crime being committed on his vehicle.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, so the Batman's had a brief discussion here with the Ice Princess when it was like, it's been set up to look like I did this. And then she's like, no sweat. I'll just tell the police I was kidnapped by an ugly bird man with fish breath.
Pretty conclusive if you say that to the police.
Yeah.
I think there's only one person who fits the bill.
And they're just like, the police officers getting out and be like, wait a minute. Commissioner Gordon. Yes. Always sticking up the office with his goddamn fish sandwiches.
He just eats tuna every day. Yeah, he brings in sardines and mackerel. Oh. There's always one in the office. Always one.
That'll be the thing, though. Again, going like, the ugly bird man with fish breath. Like, a bat's a bird. Like, no, it's not. The bat's a mammal. Like, no, it's got wings. It's got, like, no way a bat's a bird. Like, no, it wasn't Batman.
I wonder if a bird's breath actually smells of fish.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I don't think any of us will ever get close enough up to a bird to smell its breath, but it's an interesting thought.
Yes, I want someone who keeps them to look into this for us and get in touch.
I wonder maybe that's why they peck people's noses. So if you get too close, it's like they're self-conscious about their bird breath. So they see someone getting too close, they're like, get out of here. But that's the thing, though. Like, this is, of course, classic setup for Catwoman, who's been hiding up in the roof the entire time. If Batman had his detective vision on, he would have seen that, no doubt.
Well, that's the thing. I was saying last minute, I think he knows. But he's not showing any signs of it here, to be honest. He's not paying attention to his surroundings one bit.
I think he genuinely might think that, like, I've got the drop on them. They didn't think I would be up so high or something, so I would spot where the Ice Princess was. And I was like, we gotta get out of here.
Well, her opening line, I'm pretty sure it must have been used on Drag Race at least once. Because she says, does somebody say fish? And in the drag world...
Oh, I'm sure they said that.
Yeah, and I think it might have been caught in the act. I could be wrong about that. But in the drag world now, because I know you're not as in tune to it as John and I, it means someone who is very womanly looking. So you could pass for a female. And the references to the female vagina.
Yeah.
I remember at one point, though, I mentioned, because that is, well, again, I don't know if it's offensive to say this, but that is a cliche that people have been throwing about, or an observation, whether it's accurate or not, that's the...
No.
I would say it's inaccurate as somebody who owns one.
You just clean yourself, people.
But I do remember mentioning it one time to my friend Rachel, and like as a thing, it's like, that's the old cliche, and she had never heard that before in her life, and she's like, what? I was like, yeah, that's what they say. But like, I was like, I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that's what people say and stuff.
Yeah, no, I've heard it. You've heard it, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we disagree. It's the same with men. Clean yourselves, people. Everyone. Keep clean, and these smells will go away.
I think maybe, though, that's the penguin. If he knew that he was been described as having fish breath, he'd be like, if he made that connection himself, he's like, oh, that's right, baby. It's like, I've been getting busy.
He would love it.
Again, actually, like Michael, or like Danny DeVito's friend, Michael Douglas. I remember that time he mentioned, didn't Michael Douglas claim he got throat cancer from doing cunnilingus for too much? And like, I always...
Yeah, on his wife.
And then shortly after that, Catherine Zeta-Jones filed for divorce.
But at the time, I interpreted that as been a bit of a humble brag. Like, oh yeah,
I do it that much.
I totally got it from going down on my super hot wife, guys. Like,
every day. Oh god!
Yeah, so the penguin himself's been reading all the. Although this would predate. I don't actually wonder who Michael Douglas would have been hooked up with at this time. It would have been predated Catherine Zeta-Jones by about a decade, I imagine.
Yeah.
So maybe he's been reading up in the Michael Douglas tabloids, like, oh, so that's what he's saying, fish breath, eh?
I was confused by Catwoman's second part there, where she says, "I haven't been fed all day." Like, does she mean? I know she mean. I know what in the context she's saying it, but what's it meant to mean? Does she mean like I haven't been fed, as in I haven't had a fight, I haven't had a man? Did she not? If it's food, I mean, did she not eat with Bruce? She was snacking away.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that. Oh no, that's the thing though. As we said at the time, Alfred brings in the food; they never touch it. Alfred's probably back in the house now, but like, well, I guess I'll put this in the fridge, sir.
Do you think she keeps like little cat treats in her handbag?
Oh my god, yeah, little dreamies. What are they called in America? They have another name.
I'm not sure. They're called dreamies here, and cats love them. Wonder if she just snacks on them, takes them out of her handbag.
You just see like little like chunks of meat and stuff in the Ice Princess's hair because he's just been like Catwoman's been up there just eating cat food. It's all just dripping down on top of her and stuff. Again, what you want? Actually, they couldn't have been there too long, I guess, because we've seen Catwoman, we've seen her going to the thing. So God knows how long the Ice Princess has been in this room, but then how long Catwoman's been up in the rafters as well. Been like 10 minutes. Like, oh my God, will you hurry up already? Jesus Christ!
I've always loved that in films. I think I brought it up last season. Actually, one of my favorite thing in movies and TV, they do it all the time in the X-Files, is when, say, Mulder comes home from work, opens his front door. It's pitch black, but there's a villain sat there in his living room waiting for him. How long have you been there? Could have been like 5 hours, and he's just sat in the chair like, he'll be back any minute.
That just makes me think of Last Action Hero, though. Like Jack Slater coming home. He just instantly walks in the door, just shoots his wardrobe. And then it's like a guy just falls out, and it's like, oh, you know a guy was going to be in there. Oh, there's always a guy in there.
I was talking to Dave Palace about this the other day. We both defend Last Action Hero with a passion.
Oh, yeah.
Some things could be done better, granted, but it's great. It's not deserving of any scorn. Like, it's ahead of its time. I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I don't think we've discussed the virtues of Last Action Hero with Dave Palace many times as well.
We have.
That's the thing. Like, I do wonder as well, though, the fact that it's such a good setup that, like, I'll give Catwoman kudos for her quick-wittedness of like, oh, that's a good line for me to go in.
I know what you're gonna say.
No, but I was just wondering like what other like there could have been about if she was having to think about like other setups and stuff. She's just like, what if he had said anything else? What would her opening line have been? But like, if the Ice Princess had been like, oh, I got kidnapped by some ugly guy, would she just be like, someone say ugly guy because I'm about to make you ugly guy or something like that. Like,
well, you could be like, yeah, you'll be ugly when I'm through with you.
Yeah. Like, I got kidnapped by that Oswald Cobblepot. Like, does someone say Cobblepot? Because I'm the pot who's about to beat you, black and blue. Batman like, what? That doesn't make any damn sense.
No, shut up.
Like, no, it's good. Because then Batman himself, though, we'll get into the bat and cat banter here because there's some good stuff that's coming up.
Yeah, Batman comes out with one of the worst and funniest lines in the film.
Again,
in response,
it almost kind of ties back into what we were alluding to earlier there with the fish breath thing. Because, eat floor, high fiber. And I guess it would have been way better had it been a carpeted floor. Cause then
exactly. Eat floor's funny. High fiber's funny if there's a carpet. It's not funny when there's no... Because now the only gag, it doesn't work. The floor doesn't have fiber. Nothing fibrous even about the floor.
Like Eat Flash or something would work. That's a English household cleaning product used to clean floors for the American audience.
Do Americans have that? They might do.
I'm sure they must do.
Possibly.
They'll have like, they don't have a Flash, but it'll be like Mr. Muscle or something along those lines. Eat Mr. Muscle wouldn't be as good though. I don't think.
That sounds kind of sexual.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though, because even if it was a carpet, then it'd be like, oh, eat carpet. That's another term for cunnilingus as well. So.
Yeah, but as you said, high fiber would work on a carpet.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Maybe that's like Batman's Kingdom. So he assumed it was a carpeted floor, and he looked down and was like, shit. Oh well.
Damn it.
When she comes out with another thing, again, when I was a kid, didn't piece together what she was actually saying until years later, because she says, hey stud, I thought we had something together. I used to think for years that she was calling him a hey stud, like that was an insult.
Hey stud.
Yeah,
like a hayseed.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was like, oh, so I've heard people refer to it as like blistering hayseed. So then it's like, oh, hey, hey stud. I guess that's a thing. But it's only years down the line. I was like, oh no, it's hey stud. She's calling him a stud.
Yeah.
Sarcastically.
Hey stud.
I think it would have been a good as well, but considering Michelle Pfeiffer was in Grease 2, this could have been a nice callback to Grease. Of been like, tell me about it, stud, or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Again, maybe they originally did have that, and they're like, oh wait, no, she was in the second one. Did that have tell me about it, stud in the 2, or?
No, it has nothing memorable in it. Nobody likes the second one except for June Diane Raphael and my sister.
Oh, and Bobcat Goldthwait enthusiast Julie Martin, who was mentioned in the other episode.
And I remember the sex song because I brought that up on, I think it was on another podcast, but I can't remember which one.
Which song?
The reproduction one.
Oh, yeah. What are the lines?
Something about make my stamen go berserk.
No.
It's a flower. It's like a flower's penis, isn't it?
Yeah. Jesus.
It's quite full on. But I have said this story before. But our biology teacher, she thought it was hilarious to show us this particular part of Grease 2.
Oh, they're a cool teacher. I'm down with the kids.
Yeah, basically, because we were doing sex ed. It's a very BDSM moment between the two of them. And I've got a kind of Batman sort of related story, but it relates to the original movie. But I thought it was quite a strange story.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a colleague of mine in work, and she recently bought a house. She found the attic. There was all this weird stuff in her attic. Because originally they couldn't open the attic, and when they opened it, there was all this crazy stuff in there, like pictures of topless women on the wall with things like, haven't you got a lovely pair, girl? and all these kind of disgusting mattresses, like literally vile mattresses.
Oh my God, what happened here?
We reckon it was some sort of sex dungeon. And there was, honestly, she sent me all the stuff on WhatsApp. I'll post it to the group. It's not very PG, but I'll post it. There was a schedule with all these kind of like days on and weird symbols and numbers. So it might have been. It's definitely a sex thing.
Have you uncovered the Zodiac Killer?
It was very in the vein of that. And she said, but the weirdest thing is I found this coffin like thing in there and it's nailed shut. So I said, well, are you going to open it? She's like, no, I'm really scared to open it. I was like, it does sound like the start of a horror film. It sounds like they released the curse or the demon. So when she opened it, all that was inside this weird coffin was not a body. It's not that exciting. But weirdly, some original Charlie Brown, as in Peanuts, artwork. And an original 1989 Batman poster.
Nothing gets him off more than that.
But just massive though. I said, how big is this thing? She was like, it's absolutely massive. It's huge. So I really wanted to get it for you guys.
Yes.
It's just like a memento. Although it may be cursed. Maybe a cursed tattoo.
Sounds like you're
want a
going to be
haunted
instigating, like, bringing a ghost to your house. That's basically what it's clearly some sort of cursed poster.
Yeah, but it's a proper original one. And it went to somebody else, so sorry. I wasn't able to.
Well, I
swing
mean,
that
clearly
one.
the ghost is going to get whoever that went to. So once they're done with it, you can send
Yeah, then it can go to Niall.
It's like haunted
that's
by
it.
the ghost of Robert Wool's career.
My favourite thing was, you can see where I get my penchant for tangents. It's vaguely connected. I love it. It's fantastic.
What a funny story.
Okay, Alan.
That's the thing, though. Like, if I found that, I would be immediately like, okay, there's a coffin-like thing here nailed shut. I'm going to have to ring the police or something. That would be like,
Well, I did advise her to do that, and she was like, no, because it's somebody like it's in the family. It's like a family thing, so
It's the Zodiac killer.
potentially it could be somebody who's related to her. But I guess we will never know.
Well, well, back in a minute. While Catwoman's kicking the crap out of Batman in the style of Daniel Bryan, it made me think as well after a line, were we supposed to think they did have something together? Because they do as people, but they've never really had a thing so far as their character.
it's hard to tell with Catwoman because I guess maybe they're trying to be like, well, like a cat herself, she will have moments of affection and then lash out and stuff, and it's kind of hard to tell her nature, I guess. I mean, she did have the bit where she was like, oh, perhaps you can help me find the woman behind the cat. But then that was also, while she was saying that, it looked as if they were having a moment, but it was also like a ploy, so she could find the weakness in his armor and stuff, so she could jab her claws into him. Well, again, that'll be coming up in a week or two's time. It was like, or actually next week, I think. A very tender moment between Batman and Catwoman, where you're not too sure. It's like, is she connecting with him? Is this a ploy? Like, what is? She's very unpredictable as a character. What was it?
Yeah. I think maybe she likes the adversity that he's presenting to her. She likes the challenge. It's kind of fun.
I always took it, though, as a little bit of a sort of like, she's saying this sarcastically, like, oh, I thought we had something together. And then maybe because Batman genuinely does have a sort of like, oh, I am very intrigued by this woman. Him saying like, oh, we do. He's been genuine there, where she's just sort of taking the mick a bit.
That reply.
Oh, no, I get that. Though. Like, he is like, oh, well, because he would want to, he wants to help her, basically. And the Batman's never...
No, this Batman wants to kill everyone. We know this.
I mean, he says, next week, like, oh, I tried to save you and all this business. And the end of it, he is very much like, once he knows who... to be fair, that's when he knows who the chief Selina Kyle is, all like making pleas for her to come with him and stuff. But I think at this point with Catwoman, he is just very intrigued by this woman who he does have a base attraction to, in terms of that she's just she's pretty hot. But it also is like, oh, she's like me. She's like, she's always a very damaged person who's taken to dressing up in tight rubber and running around rooftops and stuff. Like, this is a kindred spirit. So he probably does want to reach out to her. And then Catwoman's a bit more conflicted. There is a side to her that's, the Selina side, or maybe just a curious side of the Catwoman personality.
I would like more of that then. I know there's only so much time, but you don't get that impression much, I don't think. It doesn't really come across that they're connecting when they're in these roles.
Yeah. I think she's just, because she's too far gone, she's too jaded. So she, even if she does have an attraction to him, she can't let that, she still has too much of a, I don't trust anybody or anything anymore. Like, that's, it'll get even more so with her next encounter with the Penguin and whatnot as well.
Oh, yes.
So
coming soon.
Yeah. But I will say too, like, as much as I love a long bat ear, this is a signal as to why maybe the shorter ears, for practical purposes, might be better. She just grabs him and then just shoves his head down onto her knee and stuff. So
that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, Would rubber... I'm going to just call the cowl rubber because I'm assuming that's what it's supposed to be in universe made out of. Would that be easy to grab without the ears? I don't know.
Yeah. But the claws, maybe she had the claws out. But yeah, it is now opened itself up. It's like, oh yeah, that's a major sort of opening that he's giving criminals. Like, oh, he's got these ears that you can just grab onto them, and then.
As a bat enthusiast, I would argue that those ears are not very bat-like.
Ah.
They look more like cat ears, which could be maybe something about he's attracted to hair, so he's sort of becoming a bit like hair in a weird sort of way. And he's changed the suit, he's adapted the suit to...
Well, I think they're the same size as last time.
Yeah.
They don't look bigger, I'm not sure. They do change throughout different iterations of Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the next movie, I think they're different.
But bat ears don't look like that. I mean, if you Google a bat, they don't really have They do have pointy ears, but their ears are like really misshapen and totally different to that, I would say.
Oh, you love bats, don't you? They're your
do.
favourite.
I think you can get some artwork people have done of like, well, what if Batman actually looked like a bat? Where they've done him with a weird mask with like huge, big, like as you said, like misshapen ears, and then he's got like a weird kind of nose and stuff. And I guess like it could actually work though on its own thing. It's like, that wouldn't be that bad. But
I don't like how literal that is. This seems semi-believable. He looks enough like a bat to be called Batman, but it also looks like something you might make and wear to do the job he's doing.
I think with Catwoman though, it's just like, well, she doesn't really look much like a cat either, except for the little nub ears. And you're like, I guess if she hadn't said to that woman in the alleyway, like, I am Catwoman, hear me roar, people might have been like, oh yeah, some sort of weird, like, you ever see American Horror Story where they had that weird thing in the first season? It's kind of like that, but it's like a woman.
Gimp girl.
Yeah, it could be just, Gimp girl or something. Like, I don't know what she's going for, but she looks kind of like a zombie, but she's kind of like a vinyl bondage zombie or something. I don't know what's going on.
That's a good name for a band, the Vinyl Bondage Zombies.
Yeah.
Much like Pete the Retailer, who has to take down and register every .com mentioned on Star Wars Minute. Every band name that we come up with, we should be like, oh yeah, better go set up a website and claim that band name for future reference. Like, you want to call yourself, what was it again? Vinyl Bondage Zombie or whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be a good t-shirt, wouldn't it? Gimp Girl with just Catwoman on. For your merch.
Gimp Girl and the Vinyl Bondage Zombies.
Yeah. It's like a pussycat and the, what is it? Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the English, well, the UK-based band Pussycat and the Dirty Johnsons.
Oh, they're brilliant.
Is that with Anthony and the Johnsons back in band once they've just not showered for a few days? They go off and get the Dirty Johnsons. Anywho.
Actually, yes, we need to carry on with the minute. We're talking about this.
But I do have a little tidbit, though, because I mentioned it briefly before, but I recently listened to an interview with Anthony DeLongis. The guy, like I mentioned, he played Blade in Masters of the Universe and stuff. Sword expert who worked on like friggin' Highlander, and he's also did a lot of stuff for Indiana Jones as well because he's also a whip master.
Yes.
He actually mentioned this scene in particular in the interview because him and Michelle Pfeiffer got on like a house on fire, and he had nothing but complimentary things to say about it. It was very, very professional, and she really mastered that whip. Like Michelle Pfeiffer at this time was as good with a whip as anybody on the planet, basically, he's kind of saying.
I think that's a bit far. I think he's just saying that to be nice. But, yeah, I mean, all the stories are that she was excellent with it. Like, she put a lot of work.
Yeah, well, even, like, you see here when she, at the end of the scene, because he obviously cuts the Ice Princess free, and then at one point, she kind of grabs her with the whip. And again, that's, like, that ain't no effect. It's like she actually did do that and stuff. She was that good. But apparently this scene wasn't meant to play out this way, where she grabs like the chair and it goes into kind of lion tamer a little bit. But apparently on set, Anthony DeLongis was this there at hand. But then like, oh, in case you need anything to do, I'm here. And
well, I'm just going to say one thing then. He should have stepped in to stop one part of it. I don't understand why she is being a lion tamer with the chair. Wouldn't it make more sense if Batman was doing that? I know she's got the whip, but she's the cat. The cat doesn't have the chair.
It's a bit of irony, John.
Oh.
I will just say, all I want now is a YouTube video of current day Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford having a whip off to the song Whip a Nay Nay.
I thought you were going to say whip it.
But anyway, as I was saying, he does mention, that he was on set and this scene was playing out differently, and then he just kind of went to Michelle Pfeiffer, kind of like, oh, you got a chair there and a whip, like, she could totally do like a lion tamer bit. Like, you see a chair, you see a whip, you think lion tamer, and he was kind of like, but yeah, it's just a thought. And then apparently she wandered over to Tim Burton, and then Tim Burton was just like, yeah, sounds pretty good. And then they apparently just choreographed this within a couple of seconds, basically, and just shot it there. So this scene, you have Anthony DeLongis, Blade from Masters of the Universe, to thank for this little interaction between.
Well, he's probably choreographed this exact scene 100 times prior.
Yeah.
It won't be that different, because it only does a little bit with the chair, but it does add something to it.
but yeah, so there's a little bit of that. But there's one thing I will say, though, in the interactions with Catwoman and Batman in the scene, because I do love most of it. But I do think her cat hiss at one point, before she does I think it's before haste stuff. At one point, she kind of goes like, and it's a bit like.
I quite liked it.
No, that was the one bit I was like, it's a bit silly. Like, it's a bit.
She's licked herself.
Yeah, but
like this is less silly.
That has a kind of like demented weirdness to it, particularly because that had all the kind of distorted violins and stuff playing, where you're like, oh, it's kind of weird and disturbing, but it's kind of hot and stuff. It was a very weird kind of tone. This is just like, yeah, she's a cat, so she goes. And it's a bit like, it's a bit much.
But it's kind of creepy. I don't know if someone hissed at you, like, what the hell?
Yeah, well. But
especially when they're busy whipping people Indiana Jones style, pulling them towards them.
Yeah.
But not for a kiss, as we'd see.
Yeah, so she does do like does a little lion tamer bit, then chucks a chair at Bruce, Batman. Sorry, as I said, like she manages to get the Ice Princess, and then wraps the whip around her neck and goes like, "Oh, gotta go, girl talk." Which is, I don't know. How do you guys feel about that line?
I think you should take this one.
Not got anything really much to say on it. I think it's a bit sexist, maybe. I don't know. I've not really thought about it.
Oh, okay. I get that it is, in a way, but I like it. Because to me, it's her making fun of that aspect of femininity that people, perceive. Like, she's mocking people's perceptions of women. And the things women might say to each other because they've been told to. They've been made to think this way. This is what women do. Oh, they go off to the bathroom together. Her whole character's mocking that and rejecting it. So I think she's kind of having it's like playful with it. She's not being too sexist against women as such. It's more the view of women, the idea of women in other people's eyes, in men's eyes.
Do you think she's angry at this woman for sort of being the kind of male fantasy figure? The way she's dressed, she's very provocatively dressed. There's a lot of cleavage on show. It's kind of not what she was like, because she was a bit more prim prior to becoming Catwoman.
But she was very female.
But she was very meek and submissive to men. And obviously Max Schreck was an awful person and pushed her around. So, maybe there's some resentment for this woman because she's the epitome of what men want women to be like. And it kind of annoys her and grates on her. And she's like, you could be so much more than that. You could be like me. You could be strong. You could be tough. You can, kick men's asses. So maybe there's some resentment there towards her.
I think definitely.
Maybe she wants to talk her into being more like her. Maybe not, but...
No, I think she wants all women to be like her in a way, because you're first introduced to her as Catwoman when she saves a woman in the street, if you remember. But then she berates the woman for basically allowing herself to be in that position with a man. Like, how dare you be weak? That kind of thing. So I think definitely I hadn't considered that. But the Ice Princess probably is one of the most annoying people to her in a way.
But she did have to die and be reborn to realise that. So,
Unless you're Niall, who doesn't think she's
No.
dead.
Oh, I've heard about this controversy.
So I'm taking from that, Lal, you are a strict deader, or whatever you would call it.
Well, to me, it's a comic book, so it can be supernatural. I believe she did die. The cats were almost like witches familiars, and they've resurrected her and they've given her their powers, which are, strength, agility, cunning, all of those kind of things.
Slinkiness.
Sex appeal. I think she did die, but I also think it's fine to read it either way.
That sounded like that'd be a deep cut, but people remember the cartoon Brave Star, because he used to have
Jesus,
like
it's going back a while.
Yeah, he had the magic.
Never heard of it.
Oh, he was like he was a space cowboy.
It was very much for. Well, I don't like to be gendered here, but it was very much aimed at young boys.
Oh yeah.
Was he JK from Jamiroquai? Space cowboy.
But yeah, he used to be able to. That's the thing, because he was a Native American, but he was a cowboy. That was like the thing. But he was in space as well. There was actually a feature film they did, which was genuinely very good, and then the TV show was trash. But he used to be able to evoke like animal characteristics, a bit like Manimal, but he didn't transform into the animals.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, but he used to also do like eyes of the hawk, and then he could just see like really really far, and then strength of the bear and stuff. So that could be like if Selina Kyle was able to go like agility of the cat or something, and she did like ding ding ding, and just, but tragically has not to be. Although any scenes like that were shot, Tim Burton cut them for whatever reason. God only knows.
How dare you, Tim? Tell us why. Tell us.
Oh, that's actually a thing though as well. Because I do have this note I've discovered recently. Something I don't know we should have brought up earlier. No, we probably could have brought it up way back at the time. But I think those minutes were crammed. But the thing one of the notes I was like, oh yeah, we should try to fit that in somewhere. And since it was just mentioned about something been cut, weird alternate cuts of Batman Returns you can get. And I thought I'd mention this one.
Not official ones.
Well, that's the thing. Apparently in South Korea, the VHS edition remains infamous between Korean audiences because of its, and this is on the IMDb, because of its stupid cut by the video company. It says the movie runs 126 minutes, but in order to cut it to a 120-minute cassette, the company cut the whole sequence of Selina's transformation into Catwoman. So apparently,
that's like one of the most important parts of the damn film.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know where they would have started.
That's not only is it a key, but it's a brilliant bit in the film.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's like whether they started with like I don't know whether they cut her like falling out the window and stuff, or
they'll have some stupid way around it that doesn't work. Like, yeah, I'm going to call it a phantom edit. There's those phantom edits of Star Wars, which I don't approve of, but they exist. So I watched another one on YouTube that some fan had done themselves, and it starts basically with just before the fight with Darth Maul, and it's like, what's going on? You can't start. You shouldn't go into it assuming the audience knows everything, even though you're making it for fans or whatever. Like, this cut, say, removing how she becomes Catwoman, that doesn't make sense unless you've seen the version where she does. It's stupid.
Yeah.
The other infamous example is when they cut Saruman's death in Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Oh, the theatrical one. I hate that cut.
Because you don't see any of the dialogue or how he dies.
No.
I don't even think you see his body.
No, I think you're just meant to assume he's dead.
You just see
or trapped.
You see the I can't remember the name for the ball thing that is
the Palantir.
Yeah, you see that, but you don't see any of that amazing Christopher Lee just not even needing a script and purely quoting from the book.
Apparently he was very annoyed that they cut that when he went to the premiere. He was really angry.
Understandably so.
Because he's was a Tolkien, aficionado. It's his favourite thing in the world. So he was very angry. It's like, this is one of the best scenes. And it's word for word almost, I felt for him.
Yeah, totally. I do actually have another bit of information, and this can kind of... So remember we talked about the fact that, like, in the UK, John, we cannot get the audio commentary for Batman Returns. It is unavailable.
we have ways of obtaining it, though. But it's not on the DVD.
No, and I've discovered the reason why. Because apparently in the UK, the film was cut by 9 seconds at its cinema release. One cut was a clown swinging nunchucks, and the other was Catwoman putting some spray paint cans in a microwave to start an explosion at the department store. I think we talked about that. I believe we are working on, like, I didn't really realize she put the cans in the microwave and stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe
that'll be why, because we're
probably
watching the US cut now.
Yeah. These cuts also apply to all pre-2015 VHS and DVD releases. In 2005, the film was resubmitted for the special edition DVD release.
That's the one I've got, though.
Yeah, but the BBFC downgraded the certificate back to the original 12, which was not possible in 1992, and waived the cuts to the chain stick scene, but the aerosol in the microwave scene remained cut on the grounds that it was potentially a potentially dangerous, imitable technique. Various extra features being rated 15 caused the overall category of the DVD to be 15. The resulting cuts meant that the audio commentary was dropped from the UK release, probably because it would have been out of sync.
You can just put in, as we know, doing a podcast, just put in some space, just put in some bit where there's nobody talking.
Yeah, well, I guess so, but maybe they weren't. Well, maybe they just weren't willing to put in the effort. They're like,
no, because you'd need to subtract bits, though, wouldn't you? So, hang on. Oh yeah, that might be a bit. I'm assuming they tried.
And then it does say here, although it is still mistakenly advertised as present on the DVD packaging, tell me about it. Jesus, tell me about it, stud.
It's very irritating when you're trying to do a podcast about it and you have to go to other means to listen to it.
Luckily enough, that was a Tim Burton commentary, so we ain't missing much.
Yes, I enjoy it to a point, but it's not particularly useful for a podcast.
But yes, that was another thing, though, talking about, like, this film is, much more cartoony and comic booky. I do think, like, when Catwoman hauls the Ice Princess out, and then you see her legs wiggling at the top, and then zipping off again. That's very cartoony to me. I don't know. It just looks too... I guess Catwoman maybe is presented going like, here she is, come and get her kind of stuff.
But how is she making her do that? Yeah, I've never had a problem with it, but I get what you mean at the same time.
But no, it does always strike me as a little bit, and particularly too because it's got like the... This is going to be like a double-edged sword I'm talking about. Not double-edged sword, but two sides of this coin here. In that... Because it's got this little sort of zany xylophone thing going on. And then that adds to the cartooniness of that happening. But then I do also love how the score interacts with the next little segment. Because you see Dougie Jones there putting in this thing, which is going to be the thing that controls the Penguin signal to the car, I guess. This little ball, the little sort of white stripes looking, with everlasting gobstopper thing they got here.
Well, I have something to say about that if we're moving on to that scene. I don't know if you are yet.
I was just going to say that I do love them because the little noise, the little boop, it's making the music works around it so much because it's got this little and the thing goes boop and then boop. I think that works really well. I don't know if that was intentional by Danny Elfman, but it syncs up very, very well anyway.
But, we might as well move on to that scene, to be honest, because all Batman does here is he looks up very awkwardly. You can still see he can't really move his head.
All critics of the previous movie, look, he can look up, kind of.
Sort of, a bit, with a lot of effort.
There's like that Michael Keaton putting out his back doing that, like, oh, Jesus.
Poor guy. But then, as you say, we see the gang working on the car. And I just found it hilarious that transmitter device thingy you've mentioned, right? Not only does it look absurd, but why have they made it look like it's been made by circus freaks? Don't make it look like that. Make it like a little black box that no one will see. You don't want to advertise who's doing... Well, I suppose maybe they do want to advertise who's doing it, actually.
Bit like the wet bandits in Home Alone.
Well, yeah. I didn't think about that, actually. Yeah. For a different purpose, though, because I suppose they are trying to let everyone know it's the gang doing it earlier on, but now they want it to be known that Batman's doing it.
Maybe they already had all the transmitters and they had already painted them this way, and they're like, oh crap,
put some black paint on it.
I guess maybe at the end they're planning for this car to blow up, So they're anticipating like, oh, it'll be destroyed in the wreckage. No one will ever find it anyway. So people just automatically blame Batman because they are the wretched pinhead puppets of Gotham. So the police commissioner is James Gordon. So they're like, oh no, we'll be fine.
Yeah, Gordon will never figure it out.
Again, the Penguin was, up until recently, known as the leader of the Red Triangle Gang, this weird circus gang that's going around. And now he's a respected citizen, and the town's still been terrorized by a circus gang, and no one's been like, wait a minute, like what? How did this happen?
Did anyone know his connection, though? Nobody knows that the Penguin is the bird boy.
I think actually that's a
other than Bruce.
Well, that is a question. Like, well, yeah, people they kept talking about the hideous bird, hideous penguin man and stuff. Whether people were already going, oh, he must be connected with this Red Triangle Circus and stuff. That's it.
I don't think they know he is. No.
So maybe, but that's what, again, we'll talk about in the next minute. Actually, Penguin isn't doing himself any favors trying to cover it up. The fact that he's involved in all this because he's out doing the damn things himself. But
yeah, he should be hiding away.
Is the hideous penguin boy based around the drawing that Tim Burton did, or did he do the penguin first and then draw that character? Do you get what I mean? In the Oyster Boy series.
I think Danny DeVito has an interview where he does say, like, when they were getting prepped, Tim came over to him and he's like, here you go, here's the character. And he gave him Jimmy the Hideous Penguin Boy. And Danny DeVito was just like, okay, I guess this is the character then. So I guess that would indicate that Tim does have a very sympathetic, empathetic kind of view towards the Penguin here, even though, again, sleazy guy. But yeah, that was definitely before anyway, because DeVito did have a knowledge of it before going in. Although how much it informed his performance is really, like, I'm not too sure, because I think the poem literally is like, my name is Jimmy, but people call me the Hideous Penguin Boy, and that's it. And it's just that drawing. So I don't know.
That's all you need.
Yeah, don't know how much they would have got out of that, but maybe he did get a lot of it. I know we talked about it, he got a lot out of like Richard III and stuff. So.
I think Danny DeVito is naturally quite a sleazy man. I mean, we've all watched It's Always Sunny, haven't we? And it's very much, it must be in the bones.
Sorry, Danny.
Because Frank is just the penguin.
Basically.
Essentially. Minus the fish breath.
Possibly worse, because nothing bad has happened to Frank. The Penguins had trauma, childhood trauma. Frank's just a jerk.
You're talking about his wife is a whore, John.
Wouldn't you be if you were married to him?
Actually, he is a bit of a man whore, so maybe he does have fish breath.
No, back to this.
Or not, because it doesn't smell of fish.
That's a nice way to bookend the episode there, because that's pretty much the end of the action as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, all we get is a millisecond shot of Batman heading after the princess and Catwoman.
Yeah.
He's on his way to save the day.
Like, what's gonna happen next? I'm sure he's gonna save the day, and everything's gonna be perfectly fine for Batman for the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, of course. It's the end of the film now. What more could possibly happen to him?
That's it, and that's the end of Batman for this season. So join us next year for Batman Forever. You kind of get what's going to happen next, so you don't need to
Yeah, it's all the same. Some stuff, some fighting.
That's the thing.
Every
We
minute's
should
the same.
emphasize where this is not the end of Batman.
No.
You do get some people will weirdly take that seriously and be like, oh, I thought you said the show was over.
No, you're stuck with us for years to come, listeners. But before we do head into the dark night, Lal, one more time, would you like to tell our listeners what other shows you have guested on and where they can find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so find me on Mogwai Minute, Mean Girls Minute with Niall, and also on Instagrams.
What Instagram, though?
Kamikaze Rainbow. # be a rainbow.
I like that. We'll make that a thing. Well, I don't know how I'll work it into this movie that's bleak and dark, but I'll try. I'll try my best. So yes, do check those out, and check us out on Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, and Twitter at Bat Minute, and Lal.
Yeah.
Come closer.
Mm-hmm.
Closer still.
Yep.
We didn't ask you. Do you think Christopher Walken's sexy?
think he's got a certain charm about him.
Je ne sais quoi.
I guess. Yeah, sort of. In saying that, I sounded like Christopher Walken. That's
I guess.
The thing is, like, when I
That's like
was
Bobcat
mentioning,
Goldthwait from me.
when I mentioned, like, oh, I know people who find Chris Walken attractive. You're one of them. You were one of the people I remember ages ago. It was like, oh no, yeah, young Walken's pretty hot and stuff. Like, what? So now you're turning around and saying no. That he's like, oh, he's got a charm about him. Like, no, you can't do this to me, Lol.
He can dance, Carney. In that video, the Fatboy Slim one, he's a good mover, and I like a man who can dance. John's a really good dancer. Weirdly, he's never taken dance lessons, but he's a natural mover.
Why is that weird?
It's unexpected. I don't think people would expect you to be a Fred Astaire type.
Well,
So I'd say yeah. Oh, all right, now we'll say yeah.
we'll say yeah. No, we need concrete. Yes. Are you or have you ever been a Christopher Walken fancier?
Yes.
Yes.
But even weirder than that, I was a John Malkovich lover. And I think that's weirder than Christopher Walken. I've
Yes.
a crush on John Malkovich.
I think that is considerably weirder. I mean, he's not an ugly man, but he hasn't got that thing that Walken's got.
I disagree. I think he does. And they both have weird voices, so maybe there's something there. Maybe I am quite into voices. Like John always says when he's listening to podcasts, he always points out how I love people's laughs. Because there's certain people's laughs I tune into. There's a fella on Star Wars Minute.
Yeah, Pete the Retailer, shout out. She loves your laugh.
He's got a nice, like a warm laugh.
Look at that kind of like a little
Yeah, I like it.
The thing with Malkovich's voice, though, like, Malkovich's voice to me is really, really creepy, because that was a thing that always took me out of. If you see, there's a production of Death of a Salesman from like, that must have been like mid '80s or something, where like, yeah, Dustin Hoffman is playing Wooly Loman, and then John Malkovich is Biff, like the son, and it's like he's supposed to be this young buck, but it's John Malkovich, and it's like
John Malkovich never looked like a young buck.
I have heard of that because, as I say, I was a huge fan, so I looked up and have knowledge of all the things he's in.
But he has a wig in it, so that's one that's very, very distracting. And then two, like he kind of talks in that creepy John Malkovich kind of way that, yes, he just sounds a little irritated by everything, and he would like his order to be rectified. Thank you. And that,
yeah, I like it. Maybe I like a creeper.
Hey, what's that saying about me?
But it's one of those things because Dustin Hoffman in the same production is done up in old man makeup, so it's Dustin Hoffman who's maybe about 15 years older than John Malkovich, if that. Like, dressed up as an old man. It's supposed to be the father of this guy, who's about 10 times the size of him. And he's like, oh, Biff, I told you you should have been well liked. And I'm sorry, Dad, I could not do that. And it's bizarre production.
I'll be honest, Niall, you're selling it to me.
Yeah, but you're making me want to watch this thing. God damn.
Well, I mean, the play Death of a Salesman is very good. So, I mean, that's going to be your way to inject that into yourself, by all means.
Oh, well, on that wonderful, wonderful sidetrack, we will head off once more. We will let you enjoy your weekend, everybody. And we'll see you again on Monday. We will have new minutes and a new guest. See you then.
Holy plummeting princess. The monarchy gets mushed and Batman is accused of a push. But as anarchy reigns and rodents take flight, will a rain of bullets fell our dear dark night? Find out again next week. Same bad pod, different bad minute.